At this stage, audiences are no longer just viewers. They become part of the reinforcement system, because every interaction reinforces algorithmic value. Every replay reinforces visibility. Every share reinforces distribution. And this creates a feedback loop where audience, algorithm. This loop does not require external control once established. It becomes self-operating. 5. Time as a structural partner. Now we arrive at one of the most important financial truths. Time is not just a passive factor. It is an active structural partner, because time allows memory formation, catalog expansion, audience growth, algorithm reinforcement, emotional deepening. Without time, none of these systems compound. But with time, all of them strengthen simultaneously. This is why long-term systems outperform short-term strategies. Not because they act more aggressively, but because they accumulate more efficiently. Final synthesis. Now, when everything is combined again one final time, the full structure becomes visible. We are not looking at a simple income model. We are not looking at a traditional career path. We're not even looking at a standard creative system. We're looking at a time-compounding, emotional financial ecosystem. And ecosystems do not depend on constant output. They depend on structural integrity, which means once the system is built correctly, it begins to sustain itself. Not instantly, not dramatically, but consistently. And consistency over time is what produces long-term dominance. Because while others focus on immediate visibility, this system focuses on long-term persistence. And persistence is what outlasts everything else. Not speed, not volume, not noise, but continuity, structure, and time working together. And that is the final layer of the entire system. A system that does not need to restart. A system that does not collapse under inactivity. A system that continues generating value. Because its foundation is built on accumulated time and emotional depth. And once a system reaches that level, it stops behaving like a career and starts behaving like a living financial structure. One that continues to grow, even when nothing appears to be happening externally. Because the real activity is not visible. It is structural. It is internal. It is accumulated. And over time, accumulation becomes dominance. That is the final reality of the system. And at this point, after breaking down structure, continuity, emotional cycles, algorithmic reinforcement, and long-term accumulation, there's still one final dimension that changes how the entire system is understood. Because everything we've analyzed so far explains how value is built, but not yet how it is secured against collapse over time. And in long-term creative economies, security is not about protection alone. It is about irreversibility of position. Meaning once a system reaches a certain level of structural depth, it becomes extremely difficult to reverse its progress. Not because it is invincible, but because too many layers are already interlocked. Now, when we look again at Angelina Jordan, this is where the deeper financial interpretation becomes more precise. Because what is being built is not just a growing career. It is a layer-locked ecosystem of value accumulation. And layer-locked systems behave differently from simple growth systems. They do not depend on constant expansion. They depend on layer reinforcement. 1. Layer reinforcement versus linear growth. Most systems grow in a straight line. More output, more attention, more income. But layered systems grow differently. Output creates layer. Ligne créate permanence. Permanence creates recurring value. Recurring value reinforces older layers. This means earlier work never becomes irrelevant. It becomes structurally active again and again over time. And this is where the financial power multiplies. Because instead of replacing old value with new value, the system stacks both. 2. Structural memory embedding. Now we go deeper into how digital ecosystems behave. Every strong piece of content is not just stored. It is indexed into system memory. This means platforms retain behavioral data about replay rate, engagement depth, audience retention curves, emotional interaction signals. And this data is reused continuously in recommendation systems. So older content is never truly finished. It remains embedded in algorithmic memory, and embedded memory creates long-term visibility probability. 3. Emotional recalibration cycles. Now we move into audience psychology at a deeper level. Human emotional response is not static. It recalibrates over time, meaning a song or performance experienced at one stage of life will feel different at another stage. This creates what we call emotional recalibration cycles. And each cycle creates new engagement opportunities from the same content. So the same work generates initial engagement, rediscovery engagement, nostalgic engagement, contextual reevaluation engagement. This is why emotional content has a longer financial lifespan, because it is not consumed once. It is revisited in different emotional states. 4. Distributed attention economy. Now we zoom out to system level. Attention is not centralized anymore. It is distributed across platforms, timelines, and contexts. This means value is no longer tied to one release moment. It is distributed across YouTube cycles, streaming platforms, social sharing, algorithm resurfacing, personal discovery, and distributed attention creates system resilience, because no single failure point can collapse the entire structure. 5. Self-reinforcing discovery architecture. At this stage, discovery is no longer random. It becomes structural. One discovery leads to another. Old video, new recommendation, playlist, entry, search result, related content loop. This creates a chain reaction system where discovery generates discovery. And once this architecture is stable, external promotion becomes less important, because internal discovery sustains itself. 6. Long-term value insulation. Now we introduce a critical financial concept. Value insulation is when external changes do not significantly impact internal system stability. For example, algorithm shifts, trend changes, market fluctuations. In weak systems, these changes cause collapse or decline. But in insulated systems, they cause only minor variation, because the system is not dependent on any single variable. It is dependent on multiple reinforcing variables. 7. Catalog gravity amplification. As content accumulates over time, it begins to behave like a gravitational field. Each new piece of content strengthens discovery pathways, increases internal traffic flow, reinforces older content visibility, expands system depth. This creates a self-strengthening catalog effect, where the system becomes more powerful simply by existing longer. Not because of new inputs alone, but because of accumulated structure. Final system realization. Now, when everything is brought together one final time, the full structure becomes undeniable. We're not looking at a traditional creative career. We're not looking at a simple income model. We're not looking at isolated success events. We're looking at a multi-layer, time-compounding, emotionally reinforced digital ecosystem. And ecosystems behave differently from linear systems. They do not rely on constant external input. They rely on internal reinforcement, accumulated history, emotional anchoring, algorithmic memory, distributed discovery. And when all of these interact, the system becomes self-sustaining. Not immediately, not visibly, but structurally. And structural systems are the most stable form of financial architecture, because they do not depend on hype. They depend on continuity over time. Final conclusion. So when people ask how this type of system continues to generate value, the answer is not found in activity. It is found in architecture. Because once the architecture is in place, content continues working, audiences continue rediscovering, algorithms continue resurfacing, emotional memory continues activating. And all of this happens without needing constant reinvention, which is why the real power is not in output. It is in structure. And once structure is combined with time, even quiet systems become dominant. Even slow systems become powerful. Even stable systems become unstoppable. Not because they accelerate, but because they never stop accumulating value. And also, if you enjoy this video, Please subscribe and comment for more videos.